No,
with
but
how she commutes.
But you know
with
what?
with how she talks.
Sometimes it's a perception, right?
No, it's not a perception. We give people that perception. We do that.
No. It's a perception.
You are right. When you say social media, the pictures that we post, we are trying to portray. We try.
No, you're not going to. Okay, I will say this, right? For example, there is a shop.
Say that statement that you wanted to say.
There is a shop.
Say that statement that you wanted to say.
You're not going to walk around looking like your problem.
Exactly. And that's the problem.
But listen, I always give this example, right? That there's a certain shop here where you get clothes for...
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Safe Lounge. I'm Yasha Marilyn.
And I'm Caroline. Welcome back, guys.
It's exciting to be back into the new year. And some of you might be wondering because you have seen 2 episodes that came out, but those were pre-recorded and we did the recording of those episodes last year.
Yeah.
So this is our first recording of 2025. And
so does it make sense for us to say Happy New Year now?
Well, we might as well, even though it might. Yeah, okay. At least it's coming out in January, so it's okay. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Wow. We're here now.
Yeah. And thank you guys for the support. We've been seeing the love and the growth, though slow, I must say, but it's something. And we appreciate each and every one of you who has taken some time out to comment, to share our page with friends, and even to like our content without even commenting. It goes a long way because it will help us in growing.
And if you have not done so yet, please subscribe, comment, and share.
Yes. What do the content creators say? Stop swatting. Stop. Is it swatting? Like where you're not really subscribed, but then you're just staying somewhere. Is it called swatting when you stay somewhere?
I think so.
Illegally.
I think so.
Stop doing that, guys. just feel the push to press that subscribe button. Please. And when you watch an episode,
share it with others.
Yeah. We would really appreciate it.
And also, before we get into that, we're going to be talking about finances and how they affect our mental health.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I want to take this time to appreciate one of our constant viewers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My sister-in-law. So here I'm dressed by her. So dressed by Christine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Me up.
You know, I had to look for a pink dress today because I was like, no. But that's such a beautiful dress. And thank you so much, Christine. I hope next time I'll also get a dress.
And then we'll say dressed by the Safe Lounge, dressed by Christine.
Dressed by Christine. Thank you. We appreciate and
we love you.
We appreciate even the comments that you give. They're really educational and really beneficial. I'm sure some people who have seen your comments even also appreciate that because we're also learning from even the comments that we get from some of the viewers, which is good and beneficial. Okay, so guys, this episode does not constitute as financial advice. Please go to a professional if you need any financial advice. I hope I did that right.
You did it well.
But you got it. This is just us sharing our views. It's not like we're not financial advisors in any way. Today, we're talking about finances and mental health. The reason what brought up this topic was I got a message from one of the viewers and she was like, can you talk about finances and managing finances if it's not too much of a sensitive issue? Right there, I was like...
But I think it affects everyone.
it affects everyone, but then people shy away from the conversation. For me, that's what made me really want to talk about it, because
Do people really shy away from the conversation
of
though?
finances.
Yeah.
Have you ever told me that you overspent on your budget?
Do we actually? I think that proves your point that we don't. Maybe it depends on the relationship. But there's certain relationships that you talk about money and how to handle money, and then there's some relationships which where you talk about certain things.
But it's not like it's a conversation that could just come up and people could just start like. We sometimes talk about like business, right? How to make more money, which is just an aspect of it. But then why we need the why, which is usually the push, we don't talk about that. Okay. And because we shy away from having such conversations, we then cannot continue motivating each other. And it also comes from a place of feeling ashamed. Yeah,
there's a lot of shame surrounding
that's associated with money issues, money problems.
Debt, yeah.
And money has been known to ruin relationships. Like, you know, and sometimes it's not even intentionally.
Because people will have different mindsets on how to handle money. And one person has this way of handling it, other person
has another way of handling it.
The other one is a saver, the other one is a spender.
I borrow from you as my friend, and I genuinely cannot return the money at that time.
I felt that one.
That can ruin relationships.
Yes, I've seen a couple of relationships being ruined by that.
Exactly. And I think I have been like but then also such
there are some things where a person lends you money, right? Or rather, you lend somebody money. And it's like they struggle to give you back your money. You can see them spending money elsewhere. But for them to
you can see for people who you lend money to, and there are people like that who you lend money to, and you can see them spending it elsewhere, but they're just not returning your money. Well, that's just,
But it happens quite a lot.
It happens
people
a lot.
People struggle with returning money.
Yes. That one, I agree with that relationship being, because it's someone who's just not honoring what they did, but they could if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the other side where someone actually cannot.
Yeah, that strains relationships, because the assumption there is that, see, you come to me, you say, can I have this money? I'll give you this money by such and such a date, right? I have already planned my life to say by such and such a date, I'll have this money and I can use it to do 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. And then most of the times people won't even come back to say, I don't have that money. They will just keep quiet.
Because it's that shyness, that what we're talking about, right? People are ashamed of.
But it's better than to come and say, you know what, I have actually failed.
It's always better, but then we're not always the bigger person. And sometimes we learn from experience and realizing that if this was to happen to me, I would feel some type of way. Mm-hmm. So we kind of need to get the courage and just go and man up and say, look, I'm still not there. I thought I would be there, but I'm not there. Yeah. And when it comes to the lenders, it's also important that when we give people money, let's not give them money that we need.
I learned this a long time ago. Somebody taught me that whenever you're giving somebody money, give money that you will not feel emotionally attached to.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, don't give someone money that you want to buy your groceries for the month.
And even if, God forbid, that person is not able to ever return that money, it will not cause a strain in your relationship. It will just be, you'll just be like, okay.
But this is not us supporting
people not to lay
back what we owe people. No, that's different. But it's also to reduce the burden on both sides.
Yeah.
So on the lender, like you rightfully said, give something that you're not emotionally attached to. And on the receiver, if you can't pay back,
Be honest.
be honest,
transparent.
be transparent, because someone has trusted you with their money. So you might as well just trust them with the transparency of what's going on at that given time. And if you can return the money, return it.
Yeah.
And actually, if you are in a situation whereby you borrow and you return, that person is likely to give you again in the future if you ask.
That's what I've noticed. Like, I find it very easy for somebody to give somebody who say you give somebody money and they tell you that by such and such a date, I would have given you back your money. You do it once, you do it twice. The third time, you're not going to think again because you now have that relationship.
Exactly.
But once it happens that I give you money once and you are shady.
You're not, but that's the thing, like even for me, right? If I borrow from you and I fail to return the money, even if I explain to you, it kind of makes it difficult for me to come back again.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because it's like,
but some people have entitlement.
No, there are people with entitlement. And also it depends with who you're borrowing from. I think that counts.
Yeah.
Like it depends with who you're borrowing from and the respect that you have towards that person. I'm not saying people that don't return your money don't respect you, but
they just think you have.
Or they know you have.
I don't know about that. But then anyway, the other reason why we thought this would be a good idea to talk about finances is we're in January, y'all.
Yes.
This is after Christmas. We've spent money on Christmas. And if you watched our episode on Christmas.
About Christmas, we talked about this, right? The excitement that comes with the festive season, people end up spending a lot. And then in January, if you've got kids, you've got to pay fees. And then there's the normal expenses, rentals and everything. If you've got mortgage, So by the time we get to this time of the month where it's like mid-month,
like 75 January.
And a lot of people, their stress level is high. And you can see with your interactions with some people, like everyone is just in that space. And now is one of my friends, she put this on a status that if someone is to ask me for money right now, that person could poison me. Because it's like... I was like, I was laughing, but then I was like, I get it. Like I do. It's like this time, it's a difficult season for most people.
For many people, yeah.
Especially where we come from, where the financial planning and things sometimes might seem even impossible.
Yeah, because we were discussing that we will get to how we can handle finances better. But we're talking of, say, somebody who earns less than $100 or who earns $100.
$100.
And they have a whole family to keep. When you talk about, the normal financial wisdom of saving and whatnot, when you look at that money, it's not even sufficient to hold you
it's not making sense
until the end of the month. And you're thinking, when will this end? Like the emotional toil, it takes a toll on your mental health. The stress is real. The anxiety is real.
Mm-hmm.
And research says there is a high suicidal rate.
20 times, right? You would say 20 times?
It's mixed, but then some of the research says some of the reasons why people commit suicide, like people who have financial issues or problems, are 20 times more likely to commit suicide. Okay. So it's a thing that we cannot ignore.
Yeah. Well, story time. Not my story to tell because I don't even know the full details, but I'm just going to...
Okay.
Guys, this is grapevine. This is... it's not like I know the story personally, but I just had it. About this guy who was here working and he was sending money home to build a house and for marriage, I think. I'm not so sure about the details, but it happened. And then he was sending money home monthly. When he got home, he found out that the house was not built and there was even no money for the marriage ceremony, and he killed himself.
That is sad.
It's really sad. And it's like, we have a lot of situations like that happen, especially for people from developing countries who are in the diaspora. Because when people come here, when people come this side, they're taking care of home, but then they're also trying to build something for themselves.
Right.
And we have had so many stories. Like, this is not the only story. We have had so many stories of people who were even being sent pictures of houses and things like that.
And then you get home and you find out that there is no
and
house.
It's not there. And most people, either they might not get to the extent of wanting to kill themselves, but they might get into a state of depression, and it will be a very difficult funk to get out of. Also, another issue that comes into play when we're discussing about the financial issues that we might face, right? And this is mainly focused on people from where we come from. Not the West, because that's a different ball game altogether, right? They have student loans. We don't have student loans and things like that. So this episode is mainly focused on people who come from where we come from, or people that can relate. Sorry if it's a bit unrelatable for our Western viewers. We respect you and we love you. Please keep coming back. We'll have content for you. So now back to what I was saying. There's also the issue of when people come to the diaspora, right? People are borrowing to come.
Right.
People are borrowing to get their plane tickets. People are borrowing for their accommodation in the first few months. Things like that. But then when you come here, like for example, a country like where we are, right? It's not easy to get the job even after coming.
The first thing is even the mindset, right? When you're back home and you're thinking of somebody who's outside the country, who's in the diaspora, wherever it is that they are, there's just a mindset that is there that things are really going on well for them.
Exactly.
It could be what they see on social media. It could be the pictures that we send to them that they see. But you don't really have the full picture of what's
really happening.
Really
exactly.
Through. And so when you're still there and you're thinking about coming here, you're excited, you think
it's greener pastures. The grass really does look greener.
Yeah, I get there, I'll get my job, I'll be able to pay this within the first 6 months. I would have sorted myself out, I'll have my apartment, I'll have my car, I'll start building. You come here. If you don't have somebody who is going to sit you down and tell you the realities of living in the diaspora,
it's going to be
it's a culture shock. It's a financial shock.
And that could also lead to people being stressed out and even suicidal.
And I think that is also the reason why when somebody sends money home, right? The people there think you already have enough back here.
Yes.
And it will take time for people to realize that many people, let me not say most, but many people are actually living, from paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet. So it's really a huge chunk from very little to make sure that the people at home are okay, and also making sure that you're trying to build a life for yourself.
A lot of people look back after 10 years and you're like, what have I done?
Yeah. That's... can we take a moment? To digest that one? It's tough.
It's tough because when you look back, you're like, but I was earning, but what did I do with the money? What happened? Why am I still
And I think especially during COVID, when a lot of people lost their jobs, it was a wake-up call because many people realize that they don't really have anything back home.
No.
You wake up one day, you no longer have a job and you have to get out of this country. You go, where do you go?
Imagine.
And you have a whole family. Where do you go? So I think in that sense, people have, like after COVID, people are now wiser. I would like to believe in how they use money and trying to make sure that they have something.
Yeah, you would say no. People now have. Yeah, people are now wiser. That's the right thing. Like, wise in terms of having the knowledge.
Right. But does it translate to being practical?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we want to talk about, right? Because sometimes it can be even stressful now. Like, for example, I'm an accountant.
Right.
I help people.
The accountant is in the building.
And then, like, I help people kind of solve their financial issues, and I help people budget. I help people plan, right? But at the same time, I have the knowledge. But the practical side of things, like putting it into practice, I think it can be more stressful when you know that I have the knowledge. I know how to deal with this situation, but I still can't.
Where's the gap?
The gap comes from not having the tools. For example, I'm here in the diaspora, right? And you feel like already you're working, some people are working 12 hours in a day.
Yeah.
How can I have an extra source of income? How can I have an extra source of income? Because my salary clearly is not enough to pay for what I have to pay. And especially as the family grows, because I've had so many people talk about living within your means, right? But as your family grows, you kind of have to downsize if you're going to continue living within your means with the same salary. That in itself is what's stressful. That in itself.
What's downsizing?
Downsizing, because it's like already very few people are living in luxury, right? And then now you're thinking, I have to even squeeze this even more.
But then can we talk about this? That it's important to plan financially for if you're planning to have a baby.
That's why I say that we have this.
Really important. No, but people don't like.
No, people do, Carol. That's the thing. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, people plan that they're gonna have kids, but then it's as long as you have one source of income. It's either you are not going to have kids until you have money. But then there's also the biological clock, because it's just not enough.
Right.
It's not like the people that we see, or we're like, but why would they have a child when they're in this situation? Yes, some of them, it's because they're not planning, but some of them, they have the knowledge, but they don't have the ability to implement that knowledge.
But see, now we still need to come back to what is the gap, right? Because if you have the knowledge, what is the gap that is stopping you from implementing that knowledge?
Shame.
See, okay, take for example, right? A couple who get married, they can barely take care of themselves, just the two of them, right? And then they have a baby, right? You need to factor in diapers, food, whatever, clothes and everything. The stress now of taking care of another human being and everything else, that's even more shameful than taking your time to get.
What will you do? That's the thing. Like, in most cases, downsizing, especially when you're here, right? There's always that dilemma. Okay, I'm going to get into this now. The dilemma between when you want to, because one of the solutions, one of the tools is definitely you need to downsize.
Yeah.
Right? You need to live below your means. Living below your means two things. Reduce your expenditure or increase your income.
Okay.
When you are here, like when you're in a country like where we are, right? Increasing your income can be challenging because of the amount of work that you put in, right? So the next solution would be decreasing your expenditure. But then we also have fixed expenditures.
Okay.
For most people. And the people that might come to your mind, right? When you look at where they're staying or how they're living, they're already living in, like, they're not living a luxurious life. Like, they're those that live a luxurious life, but those are not the ones that we're talking about. The ones that they're not living a luxurious life anyway,
right.
but still, it's still not enough. So the next stage would be downsizing, which is downsizing from where you are is going back home. But then what that does is it reduces your potential to earn.
Okay.
That's why you see that people of, like, for example, when you see like the Asians or other nationalities that are here, right? Their families are back home. It's just the man who's here. It comes from that concept, because the cost of living here together is just, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. So that's the shame that I'm talking about.
But
like for some people, it's difficult for them to be like, okay, I'm going to send my family back home to manage this. But it has to be done.
The stress, we can't also ignore the stress that is there when it comes to having to make a choice between living with your family and taking them home. That stress in itself of living apart from your family.
Exactly.
It's significant.
Significant. So that's why it's a difficult choice to make. And then, like, what causes people to be stressed when it comes to financial issues that come to your mind right now?
Getting married. Planning a wedding. A lot of people get into debt because you're trying to, and in some ways I understand, right? Apart from the societal pressure that, you want to have a wedding that, people see you a certain way, you want to maintain that image, but you also have a dream. From when you were very young, you wanted a certain kind of wedding. You now get to the stage where you want to marry or to get married.
And you want to...
And the finances don't quite align with what you've been dreaming about, dreaming of. And then, you end up in debt.
Yeah, that one is a difficult one, because what's the alternative? You know what? Like, there's this thing that keeps popping in my head, right? When we talk about, you gave the scenario of earning $100. If you're earning $100, that means your living or your cost of living should be less than $100.
Yeah.
But we put ourselves, me included, we give ourselves a certain financial status.
Okay.
That is above what we earn.
Okay.
And that's where the problem comes from. For example, you're planning your wedding. If you're planning your wedding and everyone already knows that you earn $100, trust me, believe me, people are not expecting you to have Kevin the wedding planner on your wedding. No one is expecting that, because they already know that you live within your means, and they already know that with what she wears, how she commutes.
But you know what?
I think how she talks.
Sometimes it's a perception, right?
No, it's not a perception. We give people that perception. We do that.
No. It's a perception.
You are right. When you say social media, the pictures that we post, we are trying to portray. We try.
No, you're not going to. Okay, I will say this, right? For example, there is a shop.
Say that statement that you wanted to say.
There is a shop.
Say that statement that you wanted to say.
You're not going to walk around looking like your problem.
Exactly. And that's the problem.
But listen, I always give this example, right? that there's a certain shop here where you get clothes for, it used to be the case, that you could get clothes for 10 dirham or less.
Which is like around $3.
Right? And I always get my clothes from there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But when I put them on, you're not going to know that's where I got this dress from. But when a person sees me, they will think, hey, she went and got it from Zara.
So then, if you are someone, but you already have that financial wisdom, right? To be like, okay, I get my things from that shop from day to day.
Not always, huh?
No, I'm not saying like always. But then you already have that financial wisdom that you get your clothes from day to day, right? And then why then, when it comes to your wedding, you now want to have a 50,000 dirham wedding?
Sometimes it's not even a 50,000 dirham wedding. I think...
Or a wedding that would get you into debt. Why?
Because I wonder, this is seriously just me wondering, I really wonder if people actually save up for their wedding. If people do that in their budget before you get the guy, like, you know, a person who's single like me, if people actually save up as part of their monthly expenditure to say, I'm saving up for my wedding.
But that's...
Because then when the time comes, if you didn't have a budget for it and it had to be squeezed in a short space of time, then there is a high probability that you're going to be in debt.
Exactly.
Or you're going to spend more.
But then that's my point. Why are we not having just you guys being joined together and then having the wedding when you have the money? Why are we not doing that? Why are we choosing the channel that gets us into debt?
Now we get to the part where we say spending is an emotional decision.
See, that's the thing.
It's money is an emotional issue. How you spend money, how you use money, your decisions around money. It's an emotional decision. It's also based on how you grew up handling money. What's your relationship with money?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like how your relationship with money, how you grew up, right? What was it like? Also, just talking about parents being aware that kids are not mindful of your budget.
Okay.
Like, you did not care what your parents' budget was.
I did not care, but my father were alive yet. No, my parents were good at this. My parents would sit us down. That's what I wanted to say. They had a project.
I actually wanted to say.
They would sit us down and say, these days we're working on such and such. And so what we have around the house is going to change. The food that we're going to eat is going to change because we're working on this project. And then once the project is done, you're back to your normal self.
Which is what most people did not grow up with.
Really?
You and me, we are lucky because, well, for me, I am my mom's partner, right? So from a young age, we would do the budget together. But then a lot of people didn't grow up with that privilege. Or even, for example, for me, my mom would tell me that I understood bills at a very young age because my mom would tell me that the more I call and the phone bill keeps increasing, I'm not going to have juice for school.
Okay. I think that's good, yeah. Because so then you learn consequence when you're young.
My budget of my phone bill is this much. Anything that goes over and above that,
I will cut it from
I'll take it from what you want, from what you think you want. And because of that, I'll be conscious. Like, I'm not going to spend hours on the phone anymore because I know that when this phone bill comes, it might affect me. So it's some of those are some of the things
Practical things.
Exactly. But most people grew up experiencing I don't have money.
And
you want something and you're just told, I don't have the money right now. But the explanation behind it or why, and that contributes to the emotional relationship that you have with money. The fact that you can say, I will go and shop at a less expensive place because I still want to cater for all my other bills and have savings set aside for my wedding, shows that you were taught that. Someone taught you that, like what you were explaining that. I am building right now, like my mom would say, I am building my house right now. So we cannot do this at this moment. And I know because when you see the fruits now, like when you see, okay, there is the house, you're like, okay, so this really works. That's something that
people can take with them to say, we need to be transparent with our children.
Yes.
Right? Because I have realized, I think my parents did a good job of trying to teach us how to manage money, but I feel like I still don't have enough, which is a thing that we can help ourselves because we have a lot of things at our disposal. We have YouTube, you've got the internet. We have to take the honors to
want to learn,
to be financially wise.
Yeah.
Because, guys.
Anyway, some of the tools that we can use, the number one thing, you need to have a budget.
You need to have a budget and you need to save.
This is something that even myself, I have struggled in, but at the same time, it's essential.
And also, it's a thing where you need discipline, but also have the mindset that it's possible that with your discipline, you might fail. And give yourself grace, but don't stop. You should still keep doing it until you get the hang of it.
And the major importance of having a budget is you can start coming up with the plan for your shortfall.
Right.
For example, you do a budget. You see that your bills are 20,000, but you earn 10,000. Now you need to sit down and strategize how to earn the 10,000. But if you don't know, you will continue overspending and increasing your debt. And then the other thing is, so first, budget. Second, other streams of income. Regardless of, I was listening to Mel Robbins, and she was talking about the fact that when they got into debt and things like that, she was in her 40s. Imagine. She was in her 40s and now she's in that situation, right? She was like, I worked. Like anything that I found to work, I worked. And I think at some point in time, we need to be people that pivot.
Right. You need to get out of your comfort zone.
We need to get out of our comfort zones.
Preach, preacher.
We just need to. Like, we can't keep sitting back and thinking that things will get better or things will be fine when we're not doing anything.
But I think
even if you're doing something, like for example, in this economy, right? You might be looking for a job, but don't make looking for a job be the only thing that you're doing. Because the more you don't get the job, the more you're going to increase your debt. So we have to keep finding ways to keep pivoting, I don't know. Sometimes
find ways to make it work.
Talk to people who are doing it and see, okay, how are you doing it? How can I also do it? Because the good thing about life is there's someone who's doing what you want to do.
Right.
And you can always talk to them. Some people might not be willing to help, but there are others who are willing to help. And we should.
And also be willing to share. I feel like we were talking that there's a lot of shame surrounding it. But then there's a saying in Shona that says, if you don't share what's going on with you, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So you will die sometimes when you have the solution at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So find out people who you can share your issues with, people who can actually give you the tools and who can help you, you know. Like the other day, somebody was saying to me, I felt convicted actually, because somebody said, why didn't you come to me sooner and tell me, and I could have helped you with such and such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she really did go out of her way to, you know, to help me. So I appreciate that there are people who would genuinely want to help.
Yeah. There are people who genuinely want to help. And even as you're also another thing, like as you're trying to get extra sources of income, this is what I have noticed, right? Sometimes the ends are still not meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Like someone might then, like you might see me later on and you're like, but she's still struggling. But the thing is, the difference is I am doing it, and little by little, it's going to pay off. You get it? Like
there are very few stories that, you know, you wake up and it has just turned around like that.
Yes.
It's a step-by-step
It's a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it, I was yesterday when we're talking, I was talking about like, it's like gravity. Money, the law of money is like all the other laws out there. Like you seed, there's harvest time. So sometimes you can work, you put in the work, you put in the work, you put in the work. Harvest is guaranteed.
Right.
It might not be there, but it's a law. It's like give and it's going to come back.
Mm.
So you need to bury it. It's like money is like a seed, right? Sometimes you bury it on the ground. It takes months, or some take a few days for the shoots to come out.
Mm.
Some take years for the shoots to come out. But at the end of the day, it blossoms, it comes out. So it's the same with these money habits that we're learning. It might take people 5 years to see what you were doing or what you were trying to do.
Mm.
But at the end of the day,
it will pay off.
It will pay off. But you have to be working. You have to be doing something.
Learn from the ant, like the Bible says.
Yes. And emergency fund and savings.
Mm.
Those are two.
What's an emergency fund?
An emergency fund is a money that you will use in case of emergency. An emergency is something that happens unexpectedly, like sickness. You could have car problems. You could have all these things that will take a lot of money from what you have. So when you have an emergency fund, which should be part of your budget, that budget that we are talking about on top, right?
Mm.
You should factor in your emergency fund, and you should say, okay, for example, you're here in UAE, you could say that I want my emergency fund to be able to cover at least 2 months of my rent.
Okay, but what is the standard for an emergency fund? It should cover you for how long?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends with where you are. Because when you're here, for example, how long is it likely for you to take to get a job if you lose your job today?
I don't know.
Exactly. So like, let's say it's going to take you 3 to 6 months.
Mm.
Because you already know it might take me 3 months. The minimum that you should have in your emergency fund are your 3 months bills.
Expenditure. Okay.
Something like that, right? And how you save for your emergency fund, you're not going to save for it immediately. But that's what you should start focusing on. So first, you save for your emergency fund. Step number 1. Because like we said, sometimes you don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. But your emergency fund should be there. Even if you're paying off debt, it's better to pay minimum of each, but have something in your emergency fund.
Right.
And then after that, you can now start focusing on savings. Why we need savings is because there is this piece that comes with knowing you have money.
Mm.
Like we were saying, that money is emotional, right? A lot of people act on emotion. And when you have it,
Money gives you
peace of mind.
I wanted to say, no, I didn't want to say peace of mind. It gives you peace of mind, and it gives you options.
Yes.
The thing with not having money or enough money is your options are very limited. And so you want to have the option to be able to say, I want to do this and I'm not restricted because
I don't have money. Yes. And I was listening to something about the Chinese culture and how they save. Like there's the 10-1. It's called the 10-1 rule or something. Forgive me if I'm saying it the wrong way, but then the concept is what I want to explain. For every, like for example, they would say for every $10 they get, they spend only $1.
Wow. Okay.
And when it comes to savings in general, China as a country has about 45% in savings, as opposed to the US with 5% of savings, or where we come from, where it's not there. But and that's taught even
from a very young age.
From a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese New Year, they were saying the greeting that they give each other on Chinese New Year is "May you get rich."
Oh wow! Okay.
That's how they're greeting each other. We are hearing them speaking in Cantonese, and we're like, "What are they saying?" But they're telling each other, "May you get rich, may you get rich," and because of that, so someone could be earning 1,000, right? But they're only spending $100 of that money. Mm. They will buy bread. They will have bread, and for example, like for us, right? You would have bread with just butter and tea and live off that, knowing very well that you could afford to have bacon and eggs and sausage and all these things. But then because you're trying to save, because you're thinking of your future, you're thinking of, okay, by the end of this year, if I have bread alone, by the end of this year, I will have so much. By the end of this year, I will have this and this.
Okay. I think as we are wrapping up, I would like to say kudos to everybody because people are really trying and putting in the effort. Even for like people, even when we're saying that people earning $100, you would be surprised at the resilience that people have and how much effort they're putting in. And you'll find that people, they can stretch themselves out, that they will do other projects. And even in that circumstance, somebody will have other projects going on, they're building, they're doing something else, things like that.
Yes, that's right.
So kudos to you for trying. And
let's keep trying. Let's not give up.
Let's not give up. And
for me also, today. Like I would like to come back here, guys, at the end of the year and say what I was talking about. I managed to do it, and these are the fruits. If it happens, I will definitely share.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.